Hello! I am Ship the Fish for today. Ah, thank you for following. Yes, now I am Ship the Fish. I ended up finding a fish model that was free in live TD, and I really liked it. Oh, thank you. I'm excited. Thank you, 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 thank you. I am all blushy. Like, actually, IRL, like, I am. My face is all red because I get a little bit nervous. Not gonna lie. But thank you very much for coming to the stream. It means a lot. Uh, so I kind of just felt like streaming today. Um, I got permission from someone who's commissioning me a to mix a chorus for them, and it's a good friend. Their name is Lunar Veil. They are amazing. They are a wonderful vocalist, and um, I of course accepted because I adore, but also money, but also I adore because I stan. But as always, with streams, I will be uploading this VOD afterwards on my YouTube. So that way any kind of helpful anything could be picked that can be gathered from this. People can gather that useful information if they want to. I already kind of started this mix too. Um, but yeah, it's 5 people. It is Awake Now. It's a fucking banger. Um, I didn't do the tuning and timing. Lovely, lovely friends did that. Let me see if I can get their links, and I will send because they're all very, very amazing. How's your day? I'm a little bit nervous because I get a little bit nervous when attention is on me. But yeah, I put myself in the situation of being in attention. It's a weird cycle. I'm a bit of a maso. Yeah. Oh, also, I got it to where the model, I don't need a camera. It follows my mouse movements. So when you see it moving, it's the mouse movements, and when you see the mouth moving, it's the mic picking up on the audio and how loud I'm speaking into the mic. I don't have their links on hand, but when I post this, I will put their links underneath, especially when they put the video out, because, like, banger is gonna be amazing. But yeah, so I already had started this mix. Like, wait, not way before. I probably had it like a little while ago that I had this commission like on hand to start, and I'm probably about, I'd say, halfway through my process, but that's kind of hard to tell because I do go back and make lots and lots of edits. To like, I'm constantly adjusting, and I can't stop myself. I'll tell myself in the middle of the night, okay, I'll stop at this point, and then I continue on for 3 more hours. It's kind of a devastating cycle. Not gonna lie. Oh, is it not tracking very well? Let me see. It kind of tracks. It's hard to tell. I don't know if it's just because I check the stream on my phone to double check that, like, that I could see the messages when I'm not on OBS. So it has a little bit of a delay when I see things. Very sorry about that. But yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit of a playthrough, and because this is gonna be on my an upload afterwards, I'm gonna kind of explain what I did and a little bit of why I did it, so that way it could be helpful for future people doing covers. Um, but yeah, I'll play a little bit. Please tell me if you can hear it. If not, I could change how I do it so that way you can hear it. I'll start from like midway through the instrumental.
Lazy brain に埋葬はご機嫌斜め
初めてのラーメン初めてのラーメン
関係性で整頓が満ちて工作
するばかりが先走るの情熱のままドライ君が悪いわけじゃないトリップステップ重ねたいよいつまでも夜を共に明かせならそれと羽を広げた音を愛して胸の花が溢れ出す高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると忘れないでね
I'm gonna leave it at that much so that way it's not completely spoiled. But they're fantastic and amazing. I do have their usernames briefly on the side, on the very left side where you can see their names. That was more for myself to be able to tell at a glance whose takes are whose. But my process has a lot of split up parts. So there's this concept that I like that I do called sidechaining where I basically leave the track on one thing and then it's kind of like sending a chord and making that chord go to another track. So that way, and that track has a bunch of effects, but it doesn't actually mess with the vocal take that's underneath it. If you use After Effects, it's kind of like adjustment layers, or I guess also in a way kind of like clipping in like a drawing program. It just makes it so that way you have a little bit more control. But because I do that, I end up having a bunch of different folders with a bunch of different takes, and I separate them based off of how many people are singing at once too. So I have like a whole folder for people's solos, and then I have the trio lines and all takes. So any lines that have everyone singing at once. And there's not a whole lot, but it makes it a lot easier to deal with. So, because if you're compressing all that stuff, it's going to be really, really hard to manage it and not over compress some lines while under compressing other ones. It just gives a lot more control, and you can adjust the whole folder rather than like only being limited to adjusting a single take. But so if I hit Control M, and my little mix mix folders pop up, and you'll see all the effects that I have on my lines. There's a lot of effects, but I promise they're for a good reason. So I constantly get a question of, okay, but how many times can I use this effect on one track? The answer is as many as you need and as many as you want, as long as you know why you're using it. So like obviously if you're making one adjustment in 5 different EQs in a row, you could just make one EQ and make those individual cuts as you need them. But if it's doing a specific purpose, then you can use as many as you need or want. So this isn't actually all the editing that I had done. I first had put everything on a different what's the word? A different project. So the way I do it is I split up my project into multiple chunks and multiple different saves, so that way I can go back to certain saves and make edits that won't affect the current one that I'm on. Let me show the initial one that I was on. On the first one that I did, I just did some very simple cleaning effects on the overall lines to take out any like distracting noise or like distracting breaths, to adjust the volumes, things like that. And I named it the cleanup file because it's literally just meant to clean up the lines that I've already been given just a little bit, so that way they're easier to work with. And then I exported that each line, each take, and I sent them to the mixing one. I'm not gonna play it because it's gonna be really hard on my computer, and my computer's not exactly the strongest computer. She's a little sensitive. I had a different computer that I named Bertha because I don't know. It seemed like a strong name. No offense to any Berthas. It's a lovely name. It's just it gave a very certain vibe, and she was trying her bestest, but yeah, she was chugging. That computer got destroyed, but this is like her younger sister. I don't remember what my friend and I decided to call her, but it was either Brenda or Bethany. It was one of those. Or Brittany. It was one of those. But anyway, so if you look on these tracks, there's only a handful of things. And the reason why is because whenever you put these effects, it kind of takes a lot of CPU, and it makes it so that way it runs really slow. Like even this would run really, really slow if I played it. But I wanted to use these effects to clean up properly and get it sounding nice and clear. If I turn them all off. Oh, wait, this is gonna take forever. There we go. All of them are turned off. Okay. You're gonna hear a very big difference, and that is because I clean them up so that way they sound, or I tried to clean them up so that way they sound vaguely like they're all recording in the same room. Let me play it.
Lazy rainy 埋葬はご機嫌斜め
初めてのラーメン初めてのラーメン
関係性理整頓が満ちて交錯
情熱のまま try 君が悪いわけじゃないトリップステップ重ねたいよいつまでも夜を共に明かせられそれと羽
Obviously, still very, very lovely. They are amazing vocalists, but they do sound different. They all sound different from one another. Their volumes are all different. Their settings are all different. Some of them have more background noise than others, like my fan in the background here. But everyone sounds a little different. And everyone has a different goal when they're approaching a mix. But my goals when I start a mix is that I didn't make any edits, so I'm not going to save. My goal when I start mixing for at least choruses is that I try to make everyone start off sounding like they're all in the same room, vaguely similar, like they all recorded in the same space. And then I add the creative effects after I've gotten everyone sounding like they're similar enough in volume and in space quality. And as you can tell, it takes sometimes a lot of effects. I will pick out one person's. We will pick out this person. It's Yuri. They're very, very nice. Stan. So, as you can see, there's quite a few effects, but there's also repeating effects. I have this, 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 this. And this is not all the effects that I'm gonna end up putting on this track. It's definitely still a work in progress. But I got everyone to a point where I felt like they were in a similar enough room space where I could start adding more taste, kind of like things that I preference kind of mixes, preference decisions. How do I want it to sound? How do I want it to feel when someone's listening to it? I'm more in that stage right now, but these effects were to get me to the point where I felt like they were all sounding similar enough. So this first one, M-Auto, what does it do? It's volume automation. It's similar to the Waves vocal writer, except it's cheaper and you do not have to have the subscription. So just a hint, it's good. I think it was like $15. It's not a must. Like, obviously you can go in and do your own adjusting of volumes, but I'm lazy. So I paid the $15 so that way this one kind of does it for me. It's not perfect. Like, obviously there's still going to be adjustments that you'll have to make, but it gets you most of the way there. Oh, I don't think you guys can see it. I forget that it does that. Hold up. You can't see my little panel. I will cut that out later. But this is my effects panel. I don't know if you can see it now. Oh, you can. Okay, cool. I always kind of struggle with the tabs. I'm still learning to stream. I'm not exactly the greatest at it, so I appreciate you guys' patience with me. But so these were the things that I was clicking through earlier that you were hearing the little clicks, but you didn't see anything. I use this one for automation, volume automation. Again, very good. It just kind of automatically smooths out the curves and makes it less jarring volumes, pretty much. This one's EQ from FabFilter. I mainly use it because of the dynamic EQ and because you can make such like steep slopes and you can make really, really precise cuts in the vocal where you need them. I use the basic Reaper compression for like a first pass kind of compressor where I'm just ducking down the loudest volumes and just like squashing them down a little bit. I use Loads de-esser. It's a de-esser from Analog Obsession. La Petite Excite. It's just an exciter. It adds harmonics to the vocal and it makes it sound brighter and prettier, but it doesn't necessarily like it's adding new frequencies, but it's not messing with the frequencies that already exist, if that makes sense. It's adding to them and it's altering the way it sounds because of that, but it's not doing the same thing that an EQ would do, where you can like go in and pick out a certain frequency that you want to mess with it. I used OSS. It's a compressor, also from Analog Obsession. And then I used another EQ. And it's the same one that I had used previously, but it's only doing this one job right here. I will explain why later. So first pass set volume things were, and then this one I used purely to duck down some lasting sound that was in the lower end, so that way it doesn't sound as rumbly or as thick. Actually, let me see. We will turn off everything. I guess I have to click through them all. It's okay. So again, lovely. All the first EQ is doing is making sure that any low end that was in that vocal would be tucked away and you wouldn't hear it as much because the volume brings it up. The volume will raise any kind of quieter volumes, and because the noise is a quieter volume, it's gonna raise it up regardless. So I used one pass to just like duck it down. Then we got the Reaper doing the Reaper compression, doing some light ducking as well, because the volume automation's not going to get every single thing. It does a certain amount within a certain range of where the volume is already at. So if there's a sudden jump in volume, it'll try to duck it down, but it won't get it completely if you put a certain range. And I usually put it at like 8. It's a very good idea to look into volume automation on your own if you like that, if it sounds interesting. But Reaper, very, very light. The ratio is aggressive, but I have it to where the threshold is kind of like barely tapping the surface of the max volume. It kind of like if you were to look at the surface of water, it's barely tapping that surface, and it's trying to like duck down anything that's trying to pop up. As you can see, this little red line right here that went down as she was singing, those were points where the vocal was higher than this threshold I sent. So then the compressor's like, oh shoot, we gotta duck this down because it's getting a little too loud. And the red line that comes from it is how much it's reducing it. So as you can see, it was only like 1 decimals pretty much. At other points in the song, there's more aggressive pushing, but this one's meant to be very, very light because I'm just telling it to duck down those really loud sounds, because I don't want it to affect the vocal too much. I just want it to not be as aggressive on the ear. And then bringing up all those volumes ends up making it so that you really hear the sibilant sounds, that stuff. Sorry. But so because of that, I decided next, the S sounds are getting kind of loud, so then I put a de-esser to kind of tap down that de-essing. But then I was like, but I want this to sound brighter, but I already like where it's at. So then I put an exciter. Let me show you. So that was just the de-esser. As you could see, it was like going down -1, like -2. Very light, like little love taps. And then we have the exciter, making it brighter. And then we have a compressor, because I felt like that was starting to get kind of a bit loud again, and I want it to be a little bit more controlled. So then we got this. Honestly, I might end up putting up another de-esser, not completely sure. But it sounds pretty good in context with everyone. And then I had noticed that there was some brightness that I wasn't quite a fan of at certain points. So then I did a dynamic EQ. So what I'm telling it to do is I'm setting a certain frequency where I want it to affect it, but when it's by itself, when it's a normal band, when it's a normal little bump, it's only reducing it throughout the whole song by like 0.6. You wouldn't be able to tell if you were listening unless you were really, really intently listening and you were already used to listening to that kind of stuff. But the dynamic EQ makes it so that way when it gets to a certain point of loudness, that specific range, it'll be ducked. And it'll be ducked anywhere in the range of -3 decibels, which is pretty severe. But it only affects it sometimes. It doesn't affect it the whole time. So then you don't really notice it because your ear doesn't know what it's missing. And all this stuff I did pretty much similarly for all the vocals. I didn't do all of them exactly the same. Like, as you can tell, only Lunar here and Eerie here have the volume automation. When I rendered out their volumes, I still felt like theirs were a little bit loud, or at least not as managed as the other vocals. So then I added another pass of pretty much very similar settings, so that way it would reduce it a little bit more but not affect it too badly. Yeah, not everyone has the same effects on them, and some people are missing some effects. What effects are oh, I haven't put a last pass EQ on Bite. Probably was saving that. And then I haven't even touched the harmonies yet, except for like very basic EQs on them where I wanted to enhance certain things or decrease certain things. So like I took off some of the high end and the low end, reduced this really bassy section on most of them, and then enhanced some of the brighter areas on some of them. So I had learned this from someone else, where if you're wanting to make mix harmonies or ad-libs and you don't want them to stand out like all that much, like you don't want it to be like a main focus, you take down some of their low end and their high end, because then it makes it kind of like muted or muffled, kind of. Not necessarily actually muffled, but like it sounds, it's kind of like adding blur in a way to a picture. It sounds like fuzzier, not as precise. A lot of mixing for me is trying to think of how would I describe this thing that I'm listening to right now, and what do I want to describe it as eventually, and making adjustments and so on and so forth. And the way I have this set up is, so each of these is like a little folder within a folder. So all these lines, the solo lines, are all in one folder. The trio lines are in one folder. The all lines are in one folder. But then all these folders are in another folder. The main melody lines and the harmony lines. And then these folders are in another folder. And this is the dry vocal bus. I named it that because none of the like pretty reverbs or delays are gonna ever be on these tracks. I don't like to put them on there. You can, it's just not my preference. I don't like to put any like special kind of effects directly onto the vocals, or at least not anymore, since I learned about side chaining. But so everything is in this one folder called dry vocal bus. And the beauty of this system is that you can put like different effects on the different folders depending on your needs. So like this one has a little bit of EQ on all the solo lines, some de-essing on all the solo lines, some compression on all the solo lines, and then the same goes for the other lines. So there's more EQ. This one's a different EQ, but more EQ on only the trio lines. Another EQ. Why did I put 2 EQ? Oh, because I wanted the dynamics there. I wanted the dynamic EQ. This, if you can't afford Fab Filter, is a good alternative. It's free. It's TDR Nova. There's like, I think 4 free TDR Tokyo something Revolution, I think. No, Tokyo Dawn Labs. Why did I say Revolution? I'm thinking Dance Dance Revolution for some reason. Tokyo Dawn Labs, TDR Nova. They have other ones that I can't pronounce, but this one has a dynamic EQ setting. So if you cannot afford a Fab Filter, I highly recommend looking into this one, and it works really well. It's slightly different, but it's not hard to understand once you try it. It's kind of self-explanatory. So if you want the dynamic EQ, you turn on the threshold, you tell it, oh, if it gets too louder than like the normal baseline, reduce it anywhere between -5 dB. And then it's like, okay. And this one, it's actually nice because you could set a very specific attack time and release time. You're basically setting a compressor for one specific range of frequencies when you're doing this. Kind of like multi-band compressor, but multi-band compressors are more for like doing broad adjustments, where this one is very, very like if you want to turn down a very specific like little nub. And then Lala. The reason I use different plugins for the similar purposes, so like the Reaper basic compressor and this Lala compressor by Analog Obsession, is because they also, depending on the compressor, it adds a little bit of a different sound to the vocals. So when you're using the basic plugin, the default plugin from Reaper for compression, it's not gonna add much, if at all, any kind of additional sound to the vocals, because this one's very much a digital thing. It makes it more precise. But this one, the one by Lala, is trying to mimic analog compressors and analog things. So things before it's trying to mimic the software that would be used before digital audio workspaces were available to people. And those old machines, they would sometimes add harmonics and add tubing, depending on what, and all that stuff is fancy talk for it. It accidentally adds additional frequencies in the process of compressing it, and because these are trying to mimic that, it's also adding additional frequencies, and it kind of just makes it sound different than it would have otherwise. It's really interesting. I really, really recommend looking into it. I was watching a video where it was talking about what do audio producers mean when a compressor adds color. What does it mean to add color to a track? And that kind of explains why producers would use different kinds of compressors, even though they're technically doing the same job. They kind of are doing it in different ways. So yeah, these are all doing different things. I'm still in the process of trying to get this to sound more on equal voluming. Like if you couldn't tell, the solo section when I was playing it, all the solo lines sounded a little bit louder than when all the trios were playing. And you're probably thinking like, why there's more voices? But that's because there's more compression going on there. There's I have to be a little bit more gentle with the compression. I have to be really cautious about the volume, but I also have to be very careful of how I balance all those volumes to make it sound more even throughout the whole song. That's pretty much essentially what you're doing when you're making a cover. You're trying to make it sound balanced throughout the whole song. And it's a little, if you're already into mixing, it's a little bit easier than, like, say, if you were mixing for an original song, because there's already a bass line, there's already an example, a reference, a direct reference that you can use, the original song or other people's covers of it. You have comparisons, easier direct comparisons, whereas if you're doing original work, then there's no direct comparison to what you're doing. You can look for things that are in the similar realm of what you're doing, but there's no direct comparison. I mean, unless you made a direct comparison, but I don't know. I don't completely know the logistics of that. I don't really. I haven't worked on original music. It sounds fun. I would like to one day, but I have not as of today. Why was I on comparisons? I'm a little. My brain's going on a little bit of tangents. Sorry. But I had completely lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Okay. Well, moving on. Over the whole track, this dry vocal bus, the one that houses all the different folders of all the different singing, this one, what I'm gonna do with it is I'm gonna take this and this routing button. It, when you click and hold on the routing button, you get that little thing underneath there. Kind of looks like a little plug, like an AUX cord. And the reason why is because you can take that and basically plug it in to a different track. And on that track, you can put a bunch of effects on it and adjust it. Honestly, every DAW has a different way of doing it. So if you're interested in sidechaining, I really recommend looking up sidechaining for whatever program that you're using, because they would be able to explain it much better than me. But and I'm not going to explain it completely because I'm not sure I really have the vocabulary words for it. But it is interesting, and it helps to make, when you are when you're ready to get more into the details of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to make, what you're trying to mix, how you want it to sound, and how you want to kind of like shape it, mold it. It's really good idea to look into sidechaining. But what I end up doing is I make it so that way all the information is on a side that you can't hear. So that's what the 3/4 is. It's telling this track, hey, I want this audio to affect any effects that I put onto here, but I don't want it to be repeated to me as I'm listening on this track, because then it'll make it super duper loud to the point where it's kind of unbearable to hear. But by putting it on a whole different track, a whole different like side of the track, you can just make it so that way you only hear the effects on that track, and you can like adjust the volume of the, like, for example, let me pull up, So this is one of my favorite delays. It's free. It's Valhalla Supermassive. It's really, really pretty. What's going on right now is that this thing is sensing that there's... Oh, I put this on the wrong track. My bad. So this is the one that I routed to. I routed to this one. Let me title that so that way I don't make that mistake again. This is already plugged into this track. And what you go up to here, and this one already is like, okay, so you have a track that you can't hear and a track that you can hear. I want to take off all the things that are going into this from the track that you can hear. And it's only going to go into the ones that you can't hear. But it's still going through, it's still telling the information of what this audio sounded like. So it's still going to give you the after parts, the reverb, the delay from what was played. And you can adjust only the reverb, only the delay, and you can put a compressor before it and make everything super duper even, so then there's not a whole lot of variance in the delays. Like in the echoey parts, you can put EQs to make only the reverb sound brighter, or only the reverb sound quieter, or more bassy, or etc, etc. You can adjust specifically that. I'm gonna take everything off because I actually wasn't ready to do that. This track still has a lot to work on for the voluming. I was a little bit stuck, but I'm probably gonna be a little bit quieter as I work on it. If anyone talks, I will definitely respond. I can still see the stream on my phone that's in front of me, but I probably will be a little bit quieter as I'm working on this mix. So thank you so far for being with me. If you stayed so far, I hope I'm probably going to be a little bit quiet from this point on, but I hope that you guys are having fun and that you enjoy this. Thank you for letting me talk for a whole hour straight. But please, if you want to ask any questions, go ahead. If you want to just vibe as I'm working on this, go ahead. If you want to leave, go ahead. I do not blame you. But you're more than welcome to stay with me as I work on this.
Lazy rainy my soul walk again naname
初めてのラーメン初めてのラーメン
Can't get said tongue Lazy rainy my soul walk again naname
初めてのラーメン
Okay, so for this, I'm doing the second pass EQ. I heard a little bit of bassiness that I kind of want to put some kind of dynamic EQ so that way it's not too loud on the ear. But I'm not completely sold either.
Lazy rainy my soul walk again naname
初めてのラーメン
Okay, what's this frequency doing?
初めてのラーメン初めてのラーメン初めての
Lazy rainy and naname
初めての
Okay, I think I want a little bit of a dynamic bump there. So it'll only adjust it if it senses that it's getting a little bit too loud in that one specific area. Maybe I might put a little bit of the regular gain down too.
Lazy rainy my soul walk again naname
初めてのラ
And the whole point of that was to like make it sound less like it's in a box, because it's, to me it sounded a little bit like it was getting kind of like the sound when you're talking into a walkie-talkie, the over kind of sound. I wanted a little bit less of that, and but I didn't want to make it so that way it wouldn't still have that fullness. So I put the dynamic EQ instead of like just taking it down by 2 decibels on the whole thing, because then it'll affect the whole vocal anytime it sings, and I didn't want that. I only wanted it on certain parts. But it opens it up.
Lazy rain に埋葬はご機嫌斜め
Yeah, that's nicer. Okay. Let me check another.
純粋な空間に据えると告げた
Okay, her voice is sounding a little bit on the weaker end. Maybe I took too much.
純粋な空間に据えると告げた
Still sounds a bit weaker. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it so that there's a little bit of a bump where where I enhance it instead. But I'm still gonna put a dynamic EQ. And the reason I'm gonna do that is because I want some warmth, but if it's getting too much of that warmth, I want it to be like, stop it. And I want it to take away all the warmth that I added, but I don't want to take away any of the warmth that it already has. And that I'm not sure if that makes sense. So let me show you. So that take already sounds thicker. And I'm gonna narrow in this. I'm gonna play it again. I like that a lot more. So I enhanced some of the frequencies that make it sound or make it feel a little bit thicker to the ear. But I told this dynamic EQ that if it already senses that there's enough of that thickness to basically like cut out any of the thickness that I was adding to it, because it's already thick enough at that point. I might take it a little bit further and make the range a little bit less than what it would normally be, because some of the parts sound a little bit too much, but I'm not sure. Maybe I make the range a little bit bigger so it's looking at more frequencies rather than less, and seeing if any of those are triggering it as well.
Promise won't let you down 俺目も深く Promise won't
When I'm soloing it, so when I'm clicking this button with the headphones, I'm only playing the sounds that come from that specific range of frequencies that I'm looking at. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to double check that those are the things that I want to double check that that's what's but that's the area that I feel like is causing my problem. So I'm checking only those frequencies to see, is this the sound that I'm starting to hear that's a problem? But I'm not making the decisions completely. So that's why you see me turning it on, turning it off, turning it on, turning it off, because I'm double checking by comparison. Maybe I move it a little bit more. And I keep moving my little cursor. Oh, I forgot it does that. I keep moving my cursor because I want to double check that this problem is being heard across other lines as well. Ooh, I heard a little thing. Hello. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for joining me. I'm not gonna lie, I'm talking to myself a lot, so, but thank you very much. I'm still in the middle of mixing. I tell myself every time that I'm gonna make more progress with people watching me, but I get so distracted that I'm not sure if that's really true. I just kind of like being here. But welcome. Okay. Lunar's also sounding a little thin, so maybe I add some of that to hers. I just moved the same changes that I made for this track to all her other takes, so that way all the changes that I made are even across the board. Oh, I forgot to also do the same for Bite.
Lazy rainy my soul walk again 나나메 향기 세리세 통감을 지대고 사그
I definitely want to make some adjustments to Lunar's. As you can see, I have quite a bit going on Lunar's takes. And that's not her fault. She has a very, very, what I would call dynamic range. So she can go from really, really, really quiet to really, really, really loud at the same time. And that's amazing. She has such a broad range, but then that also means that a lot more frequencies come up as a result of the effects that I'm putting on. So because I'm evening out her volume so much in comparison to the takes that she originally had, all her quiet parts have a lot more of the bassy sounds in it that's amplified. So there's more that I have to take out. But as you can tell, like when I was saying, oh, hers is sounding a little bit weak, I probably took too much. So I probably have to go in and take a little bit less, adjust how much I took. Not that one though.
향기 세리세 통감을 향기 세리 Lazy rainy my soul walk again 나나메 향기 세리세 통감을 지대고 사그
Check another.
가그 유단 우리 메모 부가그
to move the face
純粋な空間に据えると深く
騒ぎ紡ぐフレーズ騒ぎ紡ぐフェイス
も深く
騒ぎ紡ぐフェイス
純粋な空間に据えると告げた
見せつけてあげるわ騒ぎ紡ぐフレーズ騒ぎ紡ぐフェイス
純粋な空間に据え
ただ素直に
椅子を近づけて指を結びたいと踏み
君が悪いわけじゃないトリップステップ重ねたいよいつまでも夜を共に明かせならそれと羽を広げた音を愛して夢の彼君が悪いわけじゃないトリップステップ重ねたいよいつまでも夜を初めてのラーメン初めてのラ
斜め
初めてのラーメン初めてのラーメン
Okay. I think I'm a little bit happier with that. So I'm gonna delete the previous set of pasts that I had done and copy and paste these because I want all her vocals to have that adjustment, but I want to be able to adjust the different lines based off of how many different people are in those also singing at the same time. I still want it to be the equal amount of clearness, but I also need to have the little different containers so that way I could just like make sure they're in little, not boxes, but like make sure I can adjust the whole thing. Thank you, Sterling, for saying that. It sounds good. Sorry I got that message late. I don't check on my OBS much of the chat, and I don't have another monitor, but I do have my phone, but it is a bit delayed. It sees things a little bit late. It's trying its bestest. It's an older phone too, so it probably doesn't help. Look away. It makes me very, very happy that you're here. Also, if you hear me talking a lot, partially to myself, is because later on this this take will be uploaded to my YouTube because I save things just in case. Completely clueless when it comes to mixed masters, so this is like match. I felt that with animation and art. I don't know how you do it. It's amazing. It's witchcraft to me. This one I'm like, oh, my ear feels a little funny when I hear this frequency. Let's change it. Thank you. I'm glad. I remember when I was first like trying to learn chorus mixing, there was like one other person who had a video. And I remember being like, wait, how do I do this? And I remember like watching that one stream on repeat because I was like, I just didn't get it at the time. And it was a trio. I think it was Sepia. I forget his name. Very nice person, but I always forget names. I'm really bad at names. Thank you. I wouldn't say I have necessarily a great ear for it, but more like I have very, very sensitive ears to certain frequencies, and that might be because I kind of messed with my ears hearing wise when I was in high school and middle school because I would turn up the volume super duper loud on my earbuds, and I'm pretty sure I did some damage, but because of that my ears are very sensitive to certain frequencies, especially when I wear headphones. Like all my volumes are kept super duper duper low and quiet because my ears get really tired really fast, or they start to hurt real fast because of the volume coming through. But I noticed that some frequencies end up making it worse than others, and that kind of helps me with picking up on what kind of things need to be adjusted. Yes, Sunshine? Yes. What question do you have? Oh, you have to pay me. Okay. I have younger siblings that I still live with, and a lot of their accounts are hooked up to my emails because my mom forgets her passwords. And she forgets the passwords that she sets for them. So we've started just using my stuff instead because I constantly log into my stuff. So anytime they want to purchase something, they have to go through me to purchase the item. And I have to remind them, remember, it's your money. I know you wanted to save, but they never remember. Hello. Okay, which one? This. Okay. You like my little fishy guy? It moves. You'll see in a second. It's cute, right? Do you want to see something magical? It can also blush. And it can have hard eyes. Give it a second. It has to load. So it has hard eyes. And then you could also put lipstick on it. It takes a second to appear because my phone takes a while. Be careful not to mess with the mic. Okay, here you go. He is out, but I couldn't show the other toggle. There is one more toggle, and it gives it boobs. It gives it the booba. And then there's another toggle that messes with them. I don't know if it'll let me use the toggle because of the key that I put. Oh, yeah, it's adjusting it. I personally prefer just having the blush. This model's actually really, really expressive, but because I don't use the cam to stream it, like you can't see like the eyelid movement and all that kind of stuff. It's connected to my mouse, so anywhere that my mouse is moving on screen, that's where the model looks at, but it's not actually like reacting to my face. And the mouth is moving based off of the amount of the loudness of volume that's going through my mic and based off of how fast I'm speaking. So if I speak really, really fast, there's a chance that the blushing might start appearing and other toggles might start appearing, like the hearts and the lipstick and all that stuff. But if I talk really slow, then you don't see it as much. I don't know if it showed. I was trying to get it to like toggle it automatically, but sometimes that happens. I noticed it when I was like messing with the model, trying to figure out how to use it. I thought that was fun. I thought that was amazing. But yeah, I'm not using the model to its fullest capabilities because I'm not able to do that. But one day, I will. One day. For now, I am ship the fish. Probably adjust the parameters in Live2D. I tried, but I couldn't figure out how to get the eyelid movements to work with just my mouse moving. It's expensive even without face cam. It is expensive. It's in like not to say, like, not to say that it's not worth it. It's definitely, like, when someone has their worth quantified, you know that a lot of effort, or most likely a lot of effort and a lot of time went into that rig and that model. So, like, I understand completely why it's so expensive, and they're amazing. But I am broke. I am simply a little fish in my pond. So a lot of the things that I actually have as my assets on here, so like the little follower thing, the music, and all that kind of stuff, they were free assets that I found, and I have them linked in my about to where I found them, who I found them, where to get them, and they're fantastic. They're amazing. But one day I would like to get at least a phone that is capable of the face tracking, because I ended up getting V-Roid and making myself a little model, and I want to use it, but you need to have the face tracking for that. So I have returned. My sibling dropped his watermelon and he wanted me to help him get more watermelon. So he kind of was a little sad. And as a result, I have returned with watermelon myself. So yum. I don't think you can hear me munching on the watermelon. But if I'm a little quiet, that is why. I'm gonna make lunch and lurk. I appreciate. I'm very thankful that people even like try to join me. There are lots of people who stream at all different hours of the day. So the fact that anyone wants to watch my silly little stream with my fish model, with my mixing of a cover, trying my best to explain, going on like a million different tangents. I appreciate the fact that anyone wants to be here. Watermelon. I don't know why, but if I'm ever like eating in a public setting or eating not on stream, but like if I'm in call with someone and eating, I have this irrational fear that purely because I'm eating in the presence of someone else, I'm gonna choke. My mom ingrained that fear of choking in us. Because she always says make sure you chew your food completely. And for the longest time, like my siblings and I weren't allowed to have like hard candy when we were all like at a certain young age, because she had experiences with people choking. So she's like really hyper vigilant about that, but in turn it's made me hyper vigilant about it. So if someone eats in my presence or I eat in someone else's presence, I get really internally concerned about choking. Just a silly little factoid. So yeah, at this very moment, I'm like panicked that I might end up choking. I know I'm careful about it, but it's still like in the back of my mind, like one of the rational paranormal, like not paranormal, but paranoia fears. Like the fear of, if you're driving, what if you suddenly veer off course? Like, you have you're assured of yourself and your capabilities and that you have a firm grip on the wheel, but you're still like, what if? It is a very sweet watermelon. It is very yummy. I'm sorry, I'm talking about my watermelon. I didn't realize I was hungry. I was a little hungry. I haven't been eating as much recently. Just in general, because I've been busy. In general, but like, I haven't been eating as much, so I don't pay attention. I'll get super wrapped up into what I'm doing, and then just like completely not pay attention for hours on end. It's a bad habit. But please feel free, if you're watching this as a video, like as a video on YouTube later on, or if you're partaking right now, enjoy, maybe not watermelon, but enjoy something that you have with me. Let's just eat, let's just enjoy some time. It's a little musing moment. I mean, while I'm taking this little break to eat, it would be fun to mention some things that I kind of want to do in the future. I'm still a little bit unsure. I want to do a test stream later of myself playing a game on stream. I'm a little unsure about that. In part because I'm not sure if my commentary would be as good there. I'm not exactly the best gamer, but I do find it fun. I'm not sure if I would ever end up doing labs. Maybe with one person in particular, my friend Jay. But outside of doing things with Jay, I'm not sure. Only because I'm very shy in the idea of asking someone to do a thing with me kind of makes me a little nervous, especially if I don't know what I'm doing in that particular area. And of course, I do have friends to ask, but I feel bad. I feel like I'm inconveniencing them because they know what they're doing. But then I'm over here like, how do I turn this on? There has been one time where I was on stream with someone though. One time I won a virtual date on like a Valentine's Day, and there's heavy quotation marks around date, but I won a online stream date with my friend Truck Sama. And we played Stardew Valley at my request, and we had a great time. It was like a 2-hour stream. It was fun. Like, I would love to do something like that again. It's fun. I just get very shy about asking. Feel free to take this as an invite if you want to ever do a thing, play a game with me. That would be fun. I would have changed the screen or the scene so that way you weren't just staring at my DAW. But I didn't set up another scene with the model in mind. So I don't have anything set up currently at the moment. So you get my blank DAW. I do want to do some more research into how to structure streams. I've been watching more streams recently, but I'm still a little bit unsure of how, like, what would be a good way to structure a stream with my own personality in mind. There's some amazing streamers, but they get very into character. I don't have a character, I'm a fish. But they get very into it. They have an audience, and I'm not sure I'm at that point or that invested into playing a character. So I'm not sure what I'm completely doing. All I know is that I enjoy being on the stream. I find it fun. I find it nice to have people stop by, say hi, we vibe for a second, and I post it later. I don't think I have particularly ambitious goals. It'd be fun too, but I'm still a little unsure. It's the melon time. There's a lot of juice. This was a very juicy melon. It's always pleasant. Mm. I was thinking while I was downstairs serving the watermelon, Maybe I make some cuts before I post this because I accidentally clicked on certain things. I still don't know how to set it up where I'm transitioning scenes gracefully rather than like showing my whole setup. So maybe I figure that out first before I post this up. This is definitely a learning experience for me. But it's a fun one. It's a fun one to think about when I'm not thinking about other things. Or on top of thinking of other things. I have a lot of thoughts. Mine's going a mile a minute all the time on various different things. All things that, like, mind you, I voluntarily do on my own accord. Because I make choices. Watermelon break is almost over. I'm almost out of watermelon. I will be drinking the juice though because this is very yummy. I might end the stream in like half an hour though. Partially because time. Also because I probably should edit this beforehand before I post it. And also, I am feeling a little sleepy now that I ate. I'm. So many things came out of watermelon. I should have put tahini. That would have been super good. Watermelon break is over. The bowl will exist with me for a while though, for a little bit before I go downstairs. I would like to make some adjustments on the mix. And I'll probably cut this at like 11:30. And I'll probably make some edits to it tomorrow. Because there were some parts that I wasn't expecting to happen. Yeah. I'm gonna, if you guys have, like, later on, if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching currently, or if you watch later on, feel free to send any videos my way of how to structure streams, or even like if you have any particular like VTubers or streamers that you like to watch and you feel like would be interesting for me to watch, or like I feel like I would learn a lot from going and watching them, please feel free to send them my way. I want to do a little bit more. I want to take it a little bit more seriously. I don't foresee myself taking it like super seriously where I try to be like a full-on indie VTuber, but I do find it fun and I would like to get better at it and make more quality stuff because it's always nice to improve what you do. That's actually how I ended up like getting into mixing. At first it was just like a means to an end, and then I started improving because they were bad, and then I started improving for improvement's sake, and now I'm still trying to improve and I'm enjoying it. So I mean, that's the process of learning. Some Wawa juice. When my siblings were younger, they would call it Wawa juice. Maybe I end up cutting it at 10:30 instead. Not sure. We will see how things go. I will continue now though. I might be a little bit on the quieter side once again because it's quiet time hours.
斜め
初めてのラーメン初めてのラーメン
関係整理整頓が満ちて交錯
するばかりが先走るの情熱のままドライが先走るするばか
It still sounds like there's some sound trapped somewhere.
りがするばかりが先走るのするばかりが先走るの情熱のままドライ夢の花が溢れ出す気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると忘れないでね背中青さが崩れても Awake now 背中青さが崩れても Awake now 夢の花が溢れ出す気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばに
に埋葬はご機嫌斜め
初めて流せならそれと羽を広げた音を愛して夢の花が溢れ出す気高く綺麗に咲かせるか共にあがせならそれと羽を広げた音を愛して夢の花が溢れ出す気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると忘れないでね
Maybe the problem is that they're
そ
fighting
れ
for volume space. Maybe I adjust. Maybe I adjust some of these frequencies.
共にあがせならそれと羽を広げた音を愛してそれと羽を広げた音を愛してそれと羽を広げた音を愛してそれと羽を広げた音を愛して
Okay, so my idea is that maybe because all of them have such a defined like clear volumes, they're fighting for space and it's making everything overall sound a little bit quieter. So based off of that idea, I'm turning down some of the brightness on like the guys so that way you can really hear the warmth of their voices rather than the brightness, because the brightness is being handled by the female vocalists that are accompanying them. That's my idea. I think I'm gonna take away some of the brightness from maybe specifically Aya too, because she tends to be in the middle of some of these trios. So I'm thinking maybe I like tamper down a little bit of that so that way you hear more of the warmth from her too.
共にあがせならそれと羽を広げた音を愛してそれと羽を広げた音を愛して気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいるそれと羽を広げた音を気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると忘れないでね と羽を広げた音を愛しそれと羽を広げた音を愛して夢の花が溢れ出す気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそれと羽を広げた音を愛して夢の花が溢れ出す気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそれと羽を広げた音を愛して夢の花が溢れ出す気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると忘れないでね背中青さが崩れても Awake now 憧れでは終わらない気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさ飛ばす気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさ飛ばす気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさ飛ばす気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさ飛ばす気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさ飛ばす気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさ飛ばす気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいる気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばに
I kinda like that better.
見せつけてあげるわ当たり前と叫べ決意のあげるわ当たり前と叫べ決意の中で追い続けるわ当たり前と叫べ決意の中で追い続けるわ当たり前と叫べ決意の中で追い続ける目指す果て溢れ出す気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると忘れず気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばに気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばに気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばに気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばに気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばに気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばに気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばに気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると忘れ背中合わせが崩れても Awake now
Ooh, I like that a lot better.
憧れでは終
So
わらない
the problem I was having was, for some reason, I didn't like the balance that I had when it was Lunar and Yuri. Yuri initially was in the center while Lunar was off to the side. I didn't really like that balance. But when I shifted it and made Lunar in the center and Yuri on the side, I liked that balance a lot better. I initially thought that the problem was specifically balance, but I think it was just who was on what ear.
それと羽を広げた音を愛して夢の花が溢れ出す気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると忘れないでね背中青さが崩れても Awake now憧れでは終わらない
Promise won't let you down 俺目も深く
騒ぎ紡ぐフレーズ騒ぎ紡ぐフレーズ
純粋な空間にさせると告げた
I am
俺目も深く
騒ぎ紡ぐフレーズ騒ぎ紡ぐフレーズ
純粋な空間にさせると告げた
I 顔に
椅子を近づけて指を結びたいと踏み出した
歩幅と差を君もとどめないなら歌でもいいかそれと羽を広げた音を愛して胸の花が溢れます高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると忘れないでね背中合わせが崩れても Awake now 憧れでは終わらない
Lazy Rain に埋葬はご機嫌斜め
初めてのラーメン初めてのラーメン
関係性に整頓が満ちて交錯
そのばかりが先走るの情熱のまま Drive 君が悪いわけじゃないトリップステップ重ねたいよいつまでも夜を共に明かせならそれと羽を広げた音を愛して胸の花が溢れ出す高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると忘れないでね背中合わせが崩れても Awake now 憧れでは終わらない
Promise won't let you down 俺目も深く
I think I have the volumes at a place where I like them. So because of that, I'm gonna adjust the harmonies a bit more.
So I need to move the face
純粋な空間に据えると告げた
見せつけてあげるわ当たり前と叫べ決意の中で追い続ける目指す果て焦がれた視線を突き刺しながら情熱のまま Drive 君が高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにい 崩れても Awake now 悪いわけじゃないトリップステップ重ねたいよいつまでも夜を君が悪いわけじゃないトリップステップ重ねたいよいつまでも夜を崩れても Awake now 憧れでは終わらないでも Awake now 憧れで Awake now でもいいかそれと羽を広げた音を愛して胸の毛高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばに崩れても Awake now 憧れでもいいかそれと羽を広げた音を愛して胸の花が溢れ出す毛高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると私が崩れても Awake now 憧れでは終わらでも Awake now 憧れででも Awake now 崩れても Awake now 背中合わせが崩れても Awake now が崩れても Awake now 君が悪いわけじゃないトリップ君が悪いわけじゃないトリップステップ重ねたいよいつまでも夜を共にあがせなら君が悪いわけじゃないトリップステップ重ね君が悪いわけじゃないトリップステップ重ねたいよいつまでも夜を共にあがせならそれと羽を広げた音を愛して胸の花が溢れ出す毛高くきまま dry 君が悪いわけじゃないトリップステップ重ねたい君が悪いわけじゃないトリップステップ重ねたいよいつまでも夜を共にあがせならそれと羽を広げた音を愛して胸の花それと羽を広げた音を愛して胸の花が溢れ出す毛高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると共にあがせならそれと羽を広げた音を愛してが崩れても Awake now 憧れで崩れても Awake now 追い目指す果て焦がれた視線を突き刺しながら辛いことも受け止めるだけ
糸踏み出した
葉が溢れ出す毛高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると忘れないでね背中合わせが崩れても Awake now 情熱のまま dry 君が悪いわけじゃないトリップステップ重ねたいつまでも夜を共にあがせならそれと羽を広げた音を愛して胸の花が溢れ出す
整理整頓が満ちて交錯
そのばかりが先走るの情熱のまま Drive 君が悪いわけじゃないトリップステップ重ねたいよいつまでも夜を共に明かせならそれぞれを広げた音を愛して胸の花が溢れ出す気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると忘れないでね背中青さが崩れても Awake now 憧れでは終わらない
Promise won't let you down 俺目も深く
うん。
背中青さが崩れても Awake now 背中青さが崩れても Awake now 憧れ背中青さが崩れても Awake now 憧れでは終わらない
Promise won't let you down 俺目も深く
騒ぎ紡ぐフレーズ騒ぎ紡ぐフレーズ
純粋な空間にさせると告げた
見せつけてあげるわ当たり前と叫べ決意の中で追い続ける目指す果て焦がれた視線を突き刺しながらただ心と受け止めるだけただ素直に
椅子を近づけて指を結びたいと踏み出した
歩幅と差を君もとどめないなら歌ってもいいかそれぞれを広げた音を愛して胸の花が溢れ出す気高く綺麗に咲かせるからさそばにいると忘れないでね背中合わせが崩れても Awake now
Alrighty. I'm starting to feel super duper drowsy. I think I am gonna end up cutting it here at the 2 hour mark. Although there is one thing I want to do. I already have someone in mind, and they're a really cool streamer. They're really friendly, really nice. It's Atelier Kieran, I think. I don't know. I don't remember how he says it. He says that so much nicer than how I could ever say it. But he's a voice actor and he's really sweet, really cool. I would like to try and raid him. Thank you very much for joining me for stream. Sorry for the end. I start to get towards the end. I start to get a little quiet. My brain's kind of falling asleep on me before I could even like think about it. But thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to do more streams. I appreciate it very much. I'm gonna try to make it so that way we raid him. I'm not. I'm. Am I spelling this right? I hope I am. Anyway, we are gonna try to read him. He likes to say, he says something. He says this cute thing. I believe it's like howdy hey or something like along the lines. It's really really cute. He's really really nice. But I really hope that we could do this again sometime. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you again.